Steve, episode 22. Been a couple days. Some big Rangers news. Expansion draft happened, regular draft happened, and some free agency. What are you most excited for in the last couple weeks?
Well, most recently, a couple hours ago, Ryan Reaves becomes a member of the New York Rangers. This is something that I really, really wanted. This is something that's so crazy to me that other people are not as excited for. There are people out there that do not either are teasing that this is too much of a response to the Tom Wilson incident or that this is unjustified for whatever reasons. What are your thoughts, Joe?
Well, they must, I know last year with COVID, we watched a lot of metropolitan teams and stuff. So they must have not watched a lot of Vegas games last year because that guy's just a bruiser. He's in the mix. He's throwing pucks around. He's throwing hits. You gotta love him. And I don't know how many times he's fought Tom Wilson, but he beats up on him every time. So Tom Wilson, welcome back. Yeah, Tom Wilson. Yeah, we got somebody for you, buddy.
Yeah, and here's the thing, man. Everyone take off on October 13th because it's going to be fireworks when the Caps meet the Rangers. But it also goes to show that Gerard Gallant, in talking about players that he wants to know their role as they step onto the ice, actually has a rapport with Gallant from back in Vegas, and it was apparent that Pete DeBoer's plans didn't exactly fit Reaves as he was a healthy scratch. So it works out for both organizations. It cost us the third round. It's one of those guys who's really good. The Pittsburgh Penguins went after when they were on their road to try to beef up and protect their all-star players. So this is a guy that I'm really, really excited for. And then also, not to mention Sammy Blais. You ask about guys that I'm excited about. Sammy Blais, another guy that's going to go out there and know his role as well. So in Barclay Goodrow, I think we've established some third, fourth line players that are going to go out and work hard. And what it does in the Buchnevich loss, which is maybe the one deal that has really rubbed people the wrong way, it's definitely going to make some of these young guys like Laff and Kakko step up into the top line roles. So without some of those wing spots filled yet, it's yet to see whether Panarin was going to play on the top. But what are you most excited about given the moves that we've made so far?
Well, I'm gonna give all the Ryan Reaves haters a little bit of information. He's only got 1 year left on his deal. So if he shits the bag and beats Tom Wilson up in the season, it was still a win. It's not a high cap number. He'll be gone next year if he sucks. Relax, everybody. I'm also excited for, we're getting some grit. We re-signed Greg McKegg. I also like the Heedle signing, only 2 years. Steve and I have talked, Heedle's one of those players. He's been playing a little bit on the wing, so that's exciting that, we didn't realize we needed some wingers. After Booch left, we were looking for some right wingers, so could see Heedle out there. I'm also excited about our draft pick. That guy, where did he play with Gallant, you said, Steve?
The U18 World Championships. He only had 6 points in 7 games, but a couple of them were really clutch points. And just what he brings to the table as far as a workhorse player. Yeah, it is another pick that a couple of people were kind of questioning given the talent that was on the board. But being that the organization clearly trusts Shesterkin as the goalie of the future, it makes sense being that a couple of the picks that were available, I think people were shocked that we didn't take either a goalie or a center in that selection. But it is another left winger that we are flush with. But Othmann plays a kind of game that I could see, given the physicality, on a rainy day when someone's either hurt or missed work for some reason. You could call fucking Brendan Othmann to play a fourth line role, or maybe he elevates his role into more of a middle six if he can stick around. But he seems like a guy to me that can play that level, that like a Sammy Blais, and just lay the body out there and maybe use the fact that he's talented to generate some offense out of there.
And I back to the Sammy Blais thing. When we first heard about it, we were obviously sad about Buchnevich, but he's been a player that, obviously his production has gained each year, but you never know with someone like that his production could fall off. He was due to go to arbitration. We weren't going to match what he made in arbitration. So this way we got somebody back, pretty physical guy, keeps in the mix, good player back for a return when we might have lost Booch. So for all the people out there, like, I love Booch. I loved all the goals at the end of the year, the Boston game. Like, I couldn't get enough of it. But we will move forward. What did you think of the Dryden Hunt signing? Minimal risk, right?
Yeah, again, and it seems apparent that we wanted to address players that we can sign for a cap minimum, because the cap is going to be very moving forward. So you got guys like Dryden Hunt, young, still has some upside in that category, and then on the defensive end, you get a couple big bodies that after Smith leaving, you're going to need a little bit of toughness in that category. So that seemed like that was all we were going to do. And then boom, we get a guy like Reeves to really round out the bottom of the pack there. So it's going to be interesting to see who's lobbying for a position with Gauthier in the mix. You got, like you said, Greg McKegg still out there, Kevin Rooney still out there. So it doesn't seem like this is
McKegg. We've had him for 2 years lineup. Already. We didn't even see McKegg out there for the
you know what you're going to get in his game too. So again, it's more apparent what the top six is going to actually look like in not this specific order. Panarin, Mika, and on the right it has to be Kakko, right? And then you got Kraftstoff that they're clearly putting some stock into, and then you have Strome, and on the left, either Kreider, Panarin, whoever slots in on the second line. So in not that order, that's looking like your top six. And maybe you see a Hedl upgrade in one of those slots, because everyone says, oh, Kreider's not fit for the third line. I see no reason for it if he's getting special team attention and he's one of those guys that commands, either, maybe a shorthanded role. Buchnevich is gone. He was playing a lot of big shorthanded minutes for us. So maybe Kreider's a guy that doesn't always play in the top six given the talent that's around him. So Lafreniere has to find his way into that conversation as well, it seems, for the top 6 minutes. So we'll see.
Well, obviously always being a first round pick, the first pick of the NHL draft, like the spotlight's always on you. But I'm hoping with some of these free agent signings and the turnaround in management and coaching that, we take some of the limelight off of him and let him just do his thing. And I think that's where he will really excel in the NHL, not being the McDavid, but, being another equally great player that benefits the team, So what do you think's the next move? Do you think we're going to go after Eichel, or you think we're going to be done?
Well, it doesn't seem complete, right? Because it seems like you have enough spots where there's at least a few odd men out here. So we'll see. That top 7, we'll call it, plus the third line dedicated players, plus some fourth line dedicated players. There's still a couple roster slots that are a bit questionable. The D's looking pretty short up. I like the big bodied acquisitions, and then Fox, deserving of the Norris, is going to be due some big dollars soon. So it makes sense to grab some budget guys with some cap room left. So that's really the question. This cap room is either smartly being preserved for the big contracts that we're going to expect to dole out in the near future, or maybe unwisely for the undertaking of a huge contract in a guy like Eichel. I don't necessarily think we're done, but I don't think that we're going to make a big swing. I think we're going to maybe package a couple of players and hopefully get back another player that will make this whole project make sense. Maybe a guy like a Matthew Tkachuk, in that you still want toughness.
Yeah, exactly.
Or someone who can score some goals, that can be someone that the fans will get behind, because, clearly we're going to be looked at as, if anything, not improved in the top 6 category, but with a team that was outscoring, if you remember, teams like the Islanders. So maybe we thought that was a sacrifice we could move on from. But it'll be interesting to see if we can get maybe an offensive minded grit type player to really just round out the roster and make things make sense, because it does seem like we have a couple extra players and maybe some draft picks that can sweeten a deal for somebody like that.
Well, I think it's a good thing you mentioned about the third and fourth line that we really honed into them, because if you look at a team like the Islanders, their third and fourth line was what was beating other teams on their game. You look at Boston and look at the back-to-back champs, the Bolts. They just lost their whole third line, but their whole third and fourth line probably could play on first or second line in Arizona or something like that. You know, we need a deep team, and I think we have it. But I'm with you. I think we need one more offensive piece, a big fish that draws a little attention. If you guys remember, anytime Rick Nash was on the ice, he'd almost be doubled. Every time he had the puck, he was strong handling to the net, keeping two men off him. So, and then it allowed other people to come up and take good roles, like Derek Stefan back in the day, and be able to open up for the third and fourth line. So I'm hoping we get one more big fish out there. I think we've opened up. The Tony DeAngelo ride has come to an end. He's going to be a perfect fit for the Canes, who just lost Dougie Hamilton. So I think that's good. Also reading that Georgiev wants to stay in New York. So that's kind of exciting. His agent's saying he wants to be there. He's even saying that the Rangers hadn't shopped him, which that's a little hard to believe, but you know, it's coming from the agent, obviously. If we could really get him back to where he feels comfortable being in there behind Igor, then we should be great.
Yeah, I think moving forward with the defensive pair, I think you saw how important Trouba was to the team at the end of the season last year. So it'd be exciting to now see the roster back and fully healthy. And like I said, I think there's something else still in the making here. But for me, I'm comfortable walking in as Igor as my number one and Georgiev as my backup for sure. So we'll see, man.
All those people over there saying trade Georgiev and re-sign Hank, just quiet down. We don't need that.
Yeah, no, Hank hopefully has played his last game as a New York Ranger, and I mean it.
It would be a disservice to Hank and his legacy if he came back.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the same in a lot of sports, man. You're not meant to call it and then, you know, take it back. So it's better left where it is. And I don't think that Drury is a guy that I am, you know, everyone's saying he's failed his draft, he's failed his first free agency, he's failed his first few trades. I don't think this is a guy that is going to make too many mistakes. And I know that somewhere along the line, fat had to be trimmed, especially if you look at the contracts that are going to be due for some of these young guys. So I don't know. Kreider's got a no move clause. Unfortunately, these are, you know, we all love Gorton, but these are Gorton moves. So the Trouba contract, the Kreider contract, the Panarin contract, although Panarin obviously no one wants to see go. So this is money that's not going anywhere, and it had to be done. So I'm interested to see what other moves are made, if any, who competes for that bottom six, because interestingly enough, I'm more excited to see what that looks like and for the puck to finally drop. So definitely excited, man.
Definitely excited. So I think that's all we have for episode 22 today. We'll keep you guys posted next couple of weeks. We'll check in with you, see what's going on. Other than that, let's go Rangers.
Talk to you soon, Joe.
Thanks, Steve.